Hi, this is Greg Koopman. Today I'm going to talk to you about a product I've been using in my current contract for ETL development work, and I'm finding it very useful, and I will continue using it in other contracts in the future. So I wanted to share this with you and just show you some simple tips I learned the way, which got me over some major roadblocks in using the product. Okay, let's get into it. So first of all, I'm going to go through a list of all the things that we need to look at here, so that you kind of get an idea of what's going to be in this video. It might be pretty long, so you might have to try to jump towards one of these areas. So this is kind of the order we're going to go in. The first thing we're going to talk about is how do you open up a query window. That's going to be basically a console, and you have to go to new console. We'll talk about that first. Then I'm going to talk about multi-databases, because you can have all sorts of databases in the DataGrip studio there. So you can have SQL Server, MySQL, Redshift, etc., etc. Third, we're going to what's going to happen a lot of times is you're a new user and a DBA will be already working for the company, and you need to get the connection set up. So I'm going to show you, or your DBA, how to just copy those connections to the clipboard, just put them in an email to you, you bring them into your system, and you can then use that instead of having to type it all in yourself. I'll show you how that works. Tip of the day. Tip of the day I haven't used much, but I need to start using it because I want to be even more expert in DataGrip, and I think the more expertise I get in it, the faster, more efficient I can use the product for all sorts of different things. I'm learning new things every day, but I definitely, this tip of the day looks like it's a good thing. I haven't used it, and I'm going to start. Okay, one of the problems you're going to have when you start is you're going to say, where are my schemas, or where are my database? I can't see anything. I see the server, but I don't see anything else. I'll show you how you can see everything, and for how to navigate that. Commenting code. All developers, all query people, we all have to comment code out and change code and that kind of thing. This wasn't so intuitive. There's no little hotkey to hit for commenting code like there are most things, most studios. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Another thing that usually is really simple in most other studios is when you pull in a table to select from, it gives you a select and gives you all the column names. Well, it doesn't do that here. You basically get a select asterisk from the table name. Okay, and it's you got to figure out how to get those columns to show up, because a lot of times you want to copy from those columns into other statements you're using. So I'm going to show you how to do that one. Database council. Status. That's basically how do you know whether your query finished or not? It doesn't come out in your face saying query done. You have to kind of look around for where the status is of your execution, whether it did finish. Okay, that's what I want to show you there. Alt key and drag for vertical editing. I see this in other different tools, but I want to make sure you are aware of it because it comes in very handy. Export data as updates, inserts, and different data formats: XML, JSON, tab delimited, comma delimited, whatever. It has lots of different formats, and it also has it where you can export the data as statements like updates and inserts. How to get rid of the console. A lot of times you want to be able to quickly look at your results. That's great, and you study your results. But when it comes time to go back to the query and start modifying the query, you want to get rid of that results, or at least rather hide the results pane easily. I'm going to show you the hotkey to do that. Hover over tab. Okay, so basically in your results, this is just a little trick on how you can see your code. It's pretty good. Database council. Copy all sorts of formats. Okay. I might have misstated this earlier. We'll get back to that there. That might be a duplicate here. Dragging columns and multi-column sorting in the result pane. Again, some nice features in the result pane. You can drag columns around, and you can also multi-sort, so you got to do that. Transpose, right-click on any column. Makes it look like a record style instead of a tabular style for your result sets. That's very cool. Hover over column header after smushing. We'll get into that. Pinning tabs. Pinning tabs. This is really effective for when you're trying to consolidate data and troubleshoot data. It's very, very effective for keeping your screens without having to, your results sets with, you can pin them so you can save them basically at exactly where they are, so you don't have to reinvent them each time and look for them. Tab name identification. This is, when you have a lot of different queries running at the same, at different times, so you try to do consolidation, it's easier just to name them so you know what you're looking at. Often used in query history. This is great because you can, if you wrote a query and you got rid of it, you can go back to your history and locate it. And then finally, on your exit of the DataGrip, if the setting is correctly set, by default, I know for me, it saves all my windows so that when I return, all my windows come straight up that what I was using when I left, when I exited, without having to go through a whole bunch of saving and that kind of thing. I left out one real great feature that I really like to use, and that is compare from clipboard, and I'm going to include that near the end of the lesson. So look for that too. That's really, really pretty cool. All right, well, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is how to open a query window. So in any one of these, it's all the same. Basically, to open a query window, all you do is you go down to wherever you are. You go down to the server you want to open the query window for, and you go New, and you go down to Console, and that opens your query window. Okay, it's that easy. Next, number 2, we're going to go and talk about multi-databases, which you see right there. When I click on database here, it opens it up. If I collapse the database panel, that's a nice way to just go about it. Get more real estate here if you need it. But if we go into our databases, I want you to notice that the database, this is a Redshift data server. This is a Azure data server. This is SQL Server. This is great because when I learn all my hotkeys and how to maneuver around all these different things in this tool, you don't have to go ahead and open up like a separate studio that's a Redshift studio, and a separate one that's Azure studio, and a separate one that's SQL Server, and a separate one that's Cassandra or anything like that, or MySQL. You can have a one-place shop for all your databases. And when you're doing ETL, you're usually connected to a lot of different source databases. So this comes in very handy. Okay. Many times you'll come to a company and there's 5 people already using DataGrip, right? And now you need to be set up on DataGrip. So you go and you get the software loaded, and now all of a sudden you need to get the connections. So there's 8 connections you have to connect to. Okay, and in my samples there's only 3 here, but you could have 8, whatever. And they could send you these long connection strings and all this stuff, or it might be what they can do. The DBAs, or whoever has the permissions, they can come in. Let's say I want to do AWS Redshifts, right? And I want to send it to you, so you don't have to go through the laborious task of setting it up. What I can do is just go ahead and just go to Database Tools, copy data source to clipboard, right? So now it's in my clipboard. So let me go over to my clipboard in Notepad here, and just Control V it, right? So there it is. So let's say they send this to you in an email, right? So you get it in the email, you copy, right? You copy what's in there, copy, just like this. Then you come over to your DataGrip, and you just say New, import from clipboard. And there I did it. So I hit import from clipboard. I got the new one right here. Okay, so let's just go into that and see, go to properties and see and test the connection, right? We got to test to see if it works. So it gives me all, I got a bunch of information. I'm going to go test connection, and you know what? It's going to not let me in because when you copy it to the clipboard, it doesn't copy the password. Okay, it copies everything else, doesn't copy the password. Makes sense to me. Okay, so anyway, so you're gonna have to get you're gonna have to walk over to the other person's desk or something and have them write down the password so you can type it in here. So once you type in the password, this should be good to go. Okay, your connection should be good to go. So that's how the easy way to set up your connections. You know, that are, if you're not the first one doing it. Okay, so another thing is when you first come up into this DataGrip. If it's turned on, you'll have this thing called under help. You can also find it if you actually turn it off. Tip of the day. The tip of the day, I haven't used it yet, but as I was going through this right before I started the video, I was saying, oh, I should have been using this the whole time. This has some really cool stuff, advanced features that will allow you to become an expert in this tool and become much more efficient. So just go by going through these next tips and messing around with this. I think you can learn a ton, and I know I'm going to start using it myself. Okay, so that's how you get the tip of the day. If you want to show this every time I start up, you just check that box. Okay, number 5, get all schemas to show up. Well, this is very typical of a this happened to me, and it took me a little while to figure out where this thing was, because this product has so many features. It's very hard to find some, you know, basically pinpoint exactly where they are, even in Google. So I finally came across. So here I am. I have one database showing in my SQL Server, right? But heck, I know I have a bunch more than that. And usually, when you first get it and you set up your server, you have nothing showing underneath here. What you have to do is you have to right-click, go to Database Tools, and go to Manage Shown Schemas. Schemas in this case are databases. So for SQL Server, so we go there, and as you see, here's all my databases, right? So I'm going to say all data. Now I say all. Well, it's having a hard time giving me my all. I don't know why that is. Generally, you just click on all. I'm sorry, it's not going to check all the boxes. So when I say all, there they are. So here's all my databases, and it's way more than I want to look at today. So I just want to mess around with AdventureWorks, maybe DW 2012. So let's go back over to Manage Shown Schemas, and this is where it comes in pretty nice. So I'm just going to go to Aloha 2000. I'm not Aloha, AdventureWorks 2012. Okay, guys, give me a break. There. Okay. My hand coordination has got to get better today. Alright, no, it's still showing me them. Let's go back there. I must not hit OK. Database Tools. Manage Shown. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so it hasn't refreshed yet. That's another thing here. When you do refresh, you have to go to something called Synchronize. And that will then, that's like a refresh. The problem with Synchronize is I don't like the Synchronize. Okay, I will tell you that one. And that is like one of my biggest problems with this product. Is you saw how it took like 5 seconds to synchronize. Yeah, I'm not that bad. But when I go to Redshift and I have to synchronize, and we have a whole bunch of stuff at work, it takes a long time to synchronize, and I don't like that. That's really problematic as far as I'm concerned with the product. Okay, that's one of my big gripes about it. But you know, in this small thing like this, it's very quick. All right, so that's how you get your schemas to show up or your databases to show up. You have to go into that feature I just showed you. That. Okay, commenting code. So let's go into it. Okay, so after a little effort there, I noticed that under the database tools, Manage Shown Schemas, you also have schemas under there, right? We have our DBO and all that kind of stuff. So let's say I just want to see the DBO. I'm not sure whether they use other schemas in that database. But let's say we just do DBO, and then we can see all the tables in that case. Okay, so you do, it's, you know, in this case there's more than one level of schemas. You had let's see, we had the database managed shown schemas. So I showed the database itself, all databases, and then under that I had to use schema DBO, okay, or whatever I'm using for my schemas for those products. Okay, so remember that. Okay, so now we got our database, our tables, and our database. Everything's showing. Again, without that, you're lost. You can't find anything. So okay, let's go to our next topic. So that's how you get to show your objects. Okay, and our next topic is let's go ahead and run a query. So we're going to show you what it looks like when we run a query. So if I come over here and I see my dim account, okay, so I say select asterisk, AdventureWorks DBO, dim account. So here I get an error that says reference to database and or server is not supported in this version of SQL Server. Well, what happened, if we look at the top, it says Azure, right? I was over in my Azure, when I created my console, I was in Azure. So now I'm in a SQL Server, so I have to create a new console. Let me just copy paste this. Just copy, I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to go to my SQL Server local, right? Right click new, say console. In fact, I think I'll go to AdventureWorks and do it there. Open console, or not open console. I want a new console. Now I see my SQL servers up there. Okay, I'll paste my AdventureWorks query in there. I hit my execute. There we go. So we got select asterisk from dim account. All right. So here is that's how easy it is. Here's my result pane right here. My output here shows in my last run that 99 rows were retrieved starting from 1 in 14 milliseconds. All right. So that's how that works. So let's go back to my take a look at this, and this is going to bring us to highlighting. So here's all my columns, right? So now let's say I want to see select, and I want to see all those names of those columns, not just the asterisk, right? So this is very unintuitive in this product. So you highlight the asterisk, and when you highlight it, you notice this little light comes on there. So here you either click or press Alt Enter, or I can click and hit the down arrow here and say expand column list. When I do that, then I get all my columns. Okay? Very unintuitive. Took me a while to figure that out. Okay? But so I guess if I go here, I'll probably introduce table alias. Okay. Anyway, so that's how you get your columns. All right, next on the list, Alt key. So basically, this is something that you see in a lot of products. This one does also have it. So if I hold my cursor right, let's say I want to put some sort of alias. Let's say I say as alias XYZ, right? XYZ. And for some reason I want to put XYZ in front of all those. So what I have to do is just click on the very first area, position my cursor right there, hold my Alt key down. If I hold my Alt key down, I can draw a vertical line right there, release it, and see how it's blinking. Now I can say XYZ, and see how it writes the whole thing. That comes in very handy a lot of times. So that's a feature inside of DataGrip. So I just want to point that out. So the next one is how to okay, Alt key to drag it. Okay, so export data as updates, inserts, in JSON and that kind of thing. So let's go down to our result pane, which is down here, and far over to the right we see DDL, And when I look at the DDL, it shows me the create statement for that table. Okay. If I want to view query, I click view query, and it just shows me the select asterisk from it will show me the query here. Okay. Now over on this guy here, I can transpose. So I can take. I'm sorry. Let's not transpose. Yes, let's just go ahead and come over here, and you see I can make this into SQL. My result sets into SQL updates, inserts, whatever, right? So let's say I want to take this whole table, all the data in it, and I want to copy this data to another server. Okay, instead of doing like SSIS or Talent or something like that, I can just go ahead and take this and set it's already set. It's set that just set it to inserts, right? And when I set it to inserts and I copy, I right click it here and then I copy. And now when I go under down below and I do a Control V and paste it, you'll see inserts. So it's just wrote me all the scripting for my insert. So I can take this to another server and insert it into the same kind of structured table as this one. Okay, which is kind of cool. So I get all those inserts. Okay, another thing you can do here is, let's say I want to export this as JSON code. Okay, I can then click on JSON code, and then again come over here, say copy. I'll open up a new console this time. Paste, and as you see, this is all JSON. This is all JSON code. Okay, let's do a different one. I'm going to get rid of that, and we're going to bring this into something that's even more recognizable. Let's say I want to bring in to a CSV, a comma separated CSV, right? Which is very common, right? So copy, paste, pow, there it is, all with comma separation. All right, so those are some nice features that I like about this thing, about this result pane. Let's see what else we got here. There's other things you can explore. What we also get here next, how do you close this window? Okay, yeah, so basically you can click it here to minimize that database console. You can click down here to bring it back. You can obviously size it by pulling. What I do a lot is just use the hotkey, which is a Shift-escape. Shift-escape gets rid of it. It doesn't bring. I don't figure out the hotkey to bring it back, so I gotta click down here when I bring it back, or run the query. So Shift-escape gets rid of it. Okay. So let me bring it back. All right. If I hover over the tab, I can see this what the select is. So if I have a bunch of result sets down here, I can hover over the tab and see them. So let's put a couple more out here just for kicks and giggles. I'll get rid of that. Even though I get rid of, okay, so let's go ahead and do another one. Let's say dim department group. I create a new console. And I say select asterisk from, and it has a IntelliSense here, so I can pick out whatever table I want. So I can say fact survey response. Let's go there. Now notice here that when I did that, it overwrote my other query window. Okay. If I wanted to keep it on the screen, I simply pin it like that. I click the pin button. Now if I go to my other query, right, highlight it and go to execute, right, doesn't like my as XYZ. Let's Let's just say as XYZ. I think that should do it. Execute. It definitely doesn't like XYZ. Oh, I didn't say as. I'm sorry. As. AS. Okay. Now it should be good. So now, as you see, I have my dim account. On my SQL Console 3, I have this pin, so that's good. All right, and I can go back here, and if I want to run another query, let's say I want to run this right underneath it on the same results here, right? I can put a semicolon here, and when I run it, both of them together, I will get two tabs down here, right? So I just got two tabs. So I have this one and this one for each of them. Now let's pin both of these. I'm going to pin that one. I'm going to pin this one. Okay. Now I'm going to run this fact survey response, and let's just say I say top 10. Okay, so smaller query. What's going to happen, these two are going to stay here because I pinned them. And when I run that by itself, boom, now I got a third query. All right, I can pin that one too. So what happens with me a lot is I have to consolidate numbers across lots of different areas, and I have to troubleshoot. I have to compare numbers against different queries I'm running to figure out what the problems are. So this pin thing, this pin functionality really helps me a lot. Okay, because I'm changing these queries all the time, and I want to know what I was before I changed it. Okay, so pin is very good. I think I skipped something here. I skipped the transpose. So transpose lets you look at this row, this result set, in a different way. So if I have that there and I say transpose down here, it will show it to me in a record layout. So all my columns go to the left side, and these are my rows. Okay, kind of cool. This can come in real handy also. All right, so that's the transpose. Another thing, let's transpose it back. Let's see if I can. Transpose, undo transpose. There we go. Now let's try one other thing. So here, this is kind of a nice example too. So you notice here, okay, first of all, I can move my columns wherever I want. And I do this often too. So I can move my date column over here, put my date key here, got my keys right where I want them. Let's put another key over here. Okay, so I got a bunch of stuff here, right? So I was able to move my columns. That's nice. How about this? Can you move your, let's do this. Let's sort it by date. I'm going to bring it over here so you can see this a little better. So right now it's not sorting by date, is it? 10, 9, 10, 10, 26. No, see, 10:08, which be before 10:26. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to sort it by date. Okay? Then within date, I want to sort it. Let's see. So within date, I want to sort it by the subcategory name, okay? So as you see, tights, fenders, these are out of not sorted. So let's just sort it this way. Now I got first of all my date key. So I have fenders, hydration, tights. Then 11th, I got jersey, socks, tights, etc. So you can see you can do multi-sorts here, okay? And you can do as many as you want. Well, I'm not sure there are many as you want, but I know you do many, multiple. I'm not sure if there's a limit. Sorry about that. Now, if I wanted to go descending order, I can also go descending order. So let's just go up to the number. It's still number 1. And I'm going to well, now it's, because I clicked off it, I might have to click. Okay, now they're both unsorted again. So I'm going to click on this to make it the number 1. But now that's ascending. Now it's descending. You see it's descending. And now my second one will be, I'm going to let that be ascending. So now that's ascending. So this is descending, and that's ascending. But notice a multi-sort. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool indeed. All right, next. I apologize. The hover over column heading after smushing. Okay, I know what that means. Okay, so what that means is that when let's say I need, see this guy, these little integers, and these integers and these integers. Well, you know what? They're taking up a lot of space. Let's say I have 100 columns over here, and I need to see as much as I can in one shot. Well, I can smush these. That's my smushing word I'm using here. And I'll smush it, and I'll smush it. Oop, a little too much smush. And I'll smush some more, and a little more. Okay, cool. I got a lot more in a lot more condensed form. Problem is I can't see my column headers, right? How about if I go up here? Look at that. So I can see my column header. Nice. Column header. Can I get this one? Yep, can even get that little guy. At the same time, not only am I seeing my column header, what else do I see? I see my data type. Very useful sometimes. What's my data? Is this data type here a string, or is it a date? Let's see. I'll put my, well, actually I have to smush it to get the thing so I can see whether it's a date or a. Let's see. Come on, guy. All right, this guy. I have a steady hand. There we go. Date key. That guy's an int, right? It's not a string. All right. Let's see when it's fully. Yep. Even if I can hold my hand steady enough, I'll be able to see the data type. So this result pane, I must say, is pretty darn functional. I'm pretty happy with this result pane. The one thing I don't like about it is it only limits it up to 500 rows here. There might be a setting in here that I haven't used yet. And then when you click like the last page, you got like 20 million rows. It runs the query over, and that's kind of a pain. That is a pain. So, but there might be a setting up here where you can modify that to maybe 20,000 pages, or I'm not sure. Anyways, you have to look for that yourself. All right. So what else do we got here? We did the pinning tabs, tab identification. Okay. So here I am. And let's say I have these 2 tabs open, but in my case, I usually have about 10 tabs open. Okay, some of my tabs are like checking to see whether the some system performance stuff to see if anyone else is running a bad query on the machine. I have all sorts of stuff running, but let's say but at the same time I might be consolidating some things with 5 different queries running here. Okay, because the queries are such big queries possibly. So, and then what I get is like these things here. Okay, so what I do is I just right click on it. I say save. What do I do here? Let's see. I just do file save as, and it says console 1, right? I just say, this is my dim account. Okay, so I just say, I don't even care where it goes, okay, at this point. I'm really not saving, I'm only saving it for the name. There might be a better way to do this too. But what I like about it is now I saved it as a name, and there it is, okay? I can get rid of the first one, which is duplicate. And there it is. So now whenever I come over to in here, let's say go to the second one, fact survey response, right? So that's file save as. Like I say, I'm not saving this particular folder. I'm not really doing anything with it, so I really don't care if I have it. Open copy and an editor. Well, this will open the copy, okay? And that's what I do need. So what it does, the one thing I don't like, I have to go back here and just delete the old one. But now I got some named queries up here, so that hey, I'm I can I don't have to go through 10 and just keep clicking on it and figure out where I'm at. I know where I'm at. That's a fact survey. This is gonna be a dim account, no problem. Okay, I got my little pins down here are holding steady. So I got a lot of stuff going on here on this page. Okay, a lot of stuff. All right, very good. All right, next thing. Actually, we're towards the end here. Often used query history. So if I go, I haven't had to use this much lately, But if I did need, like, so let's say you ran a query a week or two ago and something happened, you lost it. Let's say you lost the view that you created. Let's say a view, for example. You created a view, took you forever. All of a sudden, someone deleted that view. And there's no way you can get it back anywhere, right? So what you want to do is you can go back in history. Let me find it. Okay, to see to see query history, you can come down into the results to this icon here, which browse console history, and there you can see your different queries. Okay, you can also go to this help and look at SQL log and explore, and you double click on database, and this basically looks like it gives you everything that happens on all of your panes. So for example, here's a query I just ran right today. That's select. Up here another select. Okay, and etc. etc. So I can go back, let's say way back, right when I bought this thing. Oh, has a date on it. Okay, and here's some selects I had run. Union, somewhere in here. So there's another select in here. Not a very nice way to look at it here. But it does give you the ability to save your history, and you might have to go into the settings to adjust how far back that is. Okay. All right, and last, well, actually, I didn't have this on the list, but this is a really cool thing. That this, the way they does it, the way I use it is really simple. So let's say I go into this particular one. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. So let's say I have this query, right? And I have some query, usually a lot more complicated than this. And let me just put this into a editor. Let's just put in Notepad, right? So I have a Notepad, and I change some stuff. Let's say I change this name. I get rid of some characters. You know, I'm doing some stuff here, right? Messing it up. And I do this, okay? So I've changed this, the way the select is, okay? So what I can do is I can copy this into my clipboard. Just click copy, right? I can go into my DataGrip right here, and I can go over and say compare this to what's in my clipboard. So we know we just copied the other one into the clipboard. So I go into view, and I say compare with clipboard. So when I compare it, suddenly it brings up what's in that I'm looking at against the clipboard. So here's a clipboard, right? We know that's a clipboard. And here's the one that's in my DataGrip. So I can see where my problems are a lot easier. So it's a nice compare feature. So as this shows here, these look good. And then the highlights are off, right? So, well, no, account type's good. Value type is good. Anything in blue is off. Doesn't match. So I like that feature because I can just quickly I don't have to think, I don't have to save files. Whatever's in front of me, just copy the one I want to compare and just copy it against clipboard, and I can do my comparison. So I like that. I like that a lot. The last thing I like is that if I close, so I have two of these guys open, right? I have two query windows open. I'm just going to close DataGrip, exit, right? And now I'm going to go back to over and open up DataGrip again. And what you notice is that when I close it and I reopen it, my two queries are there again. At least they should be. I get my tip windows open, close, and there they are. So and I'm sure you can have it so you don't have to save these. You have to go to the settings and checkbox. You know, there's probably a checkbox for saving it on exit or not. So what I like is that at the end of the day, I'm leaving I need to turn off my computer. I don't want to sit there and save these to a file. I just want them to open up the next morning when I come into work. Okay? And this feature is really nice. In SQL Server, I can't really do this. So, I hate that, because I hate to have to go out and save all my work that I'm working on at that point in time, and then, so I have it when I come back the next day. So, anyways, I like this feature a lot. So with that, the one feature I don't see in here yet, which I'm sure I will or I'm not sure I will, but I hopefully will, is that in SQL Server you have a nice way of taking the whole database and say, okay, all these objects I want you to script them. Like, let's say all my views I want scripted, or all my store procedures I want scripted. I haven't been able to find that in DataGrip. I can create like a script. If I double click on this, I get a script there to create the table. But obviously, if I have hundreds of tables, I don't want to do this on each table, right? So I haven't seen that yet. If you see that, please let me know in the comments. That'd be great. Or anything else that can be improved. I'm sure there's plenty of things there that I could do better. But also, at least this gives you a little start. And these were some of the pains I had to suffer through, and I found these tips to be useful. So I hope you liked this video, and thanks for watching.